So tell us a little bit about Digger Specialties. You've got some locations all over the kind of the Midwest and around. Tell us a little bit about all that you all do and how you do it there.
Okay. Yeah, we manufacture aluminum fencing and railing.
Hmm.
We do have 3 facilities that we manufacture and powder coat at. Um,
Hmm.
one facility in uh, Carthage, Missouri,
Hmm.
one in Williamsport or Montgomery, Pennsylvania, and then the one here in Bremen.
Hmm.
So with the finished product, we offer a limited lifetime warranty on our product. So we all want to sleep at night. Digger wants to sleep at night. So um, through all the research that we've done on available chemistries from multiple suppliers, we feel like we put together the best package that we can for aluminum only production lines to be able to
Hmm.
offer that limited lifetime warranty on our product.
Right. Right. Yeah. I was going to say it's the product you all make, which is I'm assuming for the most part almost a great percentage is outdoors, right? It's going to stay outdoors in all types of
Pretty
weather,
much
right?
all of it.
Yeah. Right. And so it really has to be battle tested. It has to withstand, like you said, all the elements, the sun, the rain, the cold, and everything. You just tell me in your terms. I mean, it's great, probably cool to see how you guys make these things, but really, the test of time is the powder coating and the finish that's going to go on these. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. So
Right.
our first finishing line that we put in that went into operation was here in Bremen, Indiana, and that was in 2004.
Okay.
We started that system up. Um, in 2013, we had outgrown that line, so we
Hmm.
started up a second line here in Bremen.
Hmm.
And it didn't take long before we started to outgrow that. And so we started making plans to actually, we built another facility in Carthage, Missouri, and that went into production in 2019.
Hmm.
2021, then we started the third line up here in Bremen. And then 2022, we started up the finishing line in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
We
Gotcha.
go
Right.
Williamsport and Montgomery.
Right.
Oh,
So that's
we
five.
alternate back and forth, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said Williamsport, that's where I stay when I'm out there.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so that's five, right? I'm counting five
Five,
lines.
five, 5 lines. Yes.
Right.
Now,
It.
all the lines are mirror images of one
Mm,
another. The configuration may be different, the layout, but as far as process times, they're all mirror images. Same pretreatment chemistry, same dwell times through pretreat, same dwell times through the dry off and cure oven. Same powders are used across the board at all of our facilities. So cure cycle times do not change. It doesn't matter. Pretreatment cycle times do not change. It doesn't matter whether you're in Bremen, Missouri, Pennsylvania. They're all the same.
right. Right. Yeah. I tell people all the time, it's like a Big Mac. You can go anywhere in the world, it better taste the exact same everywhere you go. You
Yep.
don't want
Yep.
that. Yeah. So let me ask you. I mean, prior to 2005, how were you, or 2004, I guess it was. How were you all? Were you outsourcing this? And
We were outsourcing. Yeah.
right.
We had job shops that were coding for us.
Right. Yeah, and I know you want to have that control, right? You want to control that. Is that kind of the big part of the decision to bring it in house and
That
master
was
the?
why we brought it in house. So we had control over the quality. We could apply the architectural coding and have confidence that it was going to meet our warranty in the field.
Right, right, yeah. It's funny. I did see those on your corporate timeline. And in the 2004, 2005 when you put that in. I always like it says the word state of the art, right? Although that's 20 some years ago, right? I mean, things have gotten pretty much arty, or let's just say how it's going. Is that line? I mean, is that line pretty much still intact the way you all had put it in back then?
Pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah. Pretty
Gotcha.
much.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
running today.
Right. So were you there at the time when that line went in, or
Yes.
were you, okay? Okay. Had you had much experience in the coding process before that began for you all, or?
None.
And you thought it was just spray it and ship it, right? I mean, it's a
And you
little
know what? We sat around the conference room table, all the managers, and talked about what we're going to do. And they said, "Who wants to head this up?" And everyone stared at each other for a little while, and nobody said anything. So I raised my hand and put my toe in the water and had no idea what I was getting into.
there you go. There you go. There you
But
go. You know, I mean, did it surprise you, I guess, when you started to really, and how did you learn? Did you go to other manufacturers, or how did you learn that what it was really
uh,
going to take to put a line together that you all needed that was really going to make these products last and service the customer?
suppliers. We sat down with all of our suppliers from the equipment suppliers to pre-treatment and
Hmm.
powder coatings. And I got some books, the Powder Coating
Hmm.
Finisher's Handbook. I started reading, wanted to understand what I was getting into.
Right,
And I called all the suppliers in and we sat down. I said, "Tell me what we're doing."
right, right,
Outside of reading about it, that's it. And now over the
right.
years, we've worked with a lot of people. We've been to uh, many PCI
Hmm.
powder coating workshops where you talk about advanced finishing techniques. Um, so we've done that. Been to the shows where we set through presentations and just like I said, working hand in hand with our suppliers. We feel like we really put together out of what's available out there the best
Right,
package for a
right,
line. So
right.
I said it's a
You
lot of
know what?
hands on.
Yeah, I said, and a lot of kind of just ingesting all that information. One of the things I think I saw with you all was that early on, I think the applying the powders is the primary process. But I think what you all probably realized early on was getting that material in and getting it prepped and ready, and that seems to be the big key. Getting proper adhesion, you got to clean it, you got to make sure it's really well prepped. And talk a little about that. I mean, you guys really do a fantastic job of getting it ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we do store all of our extrusions indoors and we transport on covered trailers. So we make sure that the material does not get wet.
Hmm.
Um, Once you get water into aluminum extrusion bundles, it just sits there. It doesn't evaporate out. It starts to oxidize. So we store everything that gets powder coated indoors under roof. We don't let it get wet. If we would happen to open a bundle and we find some oxidized material that it gets stickers all over it, it goes into quarantine and then it gets recycled.
Right, right, exactly with that. Yeah, like I said, that seems
Without
to be, yeah,
without a good piece of material, it doesn't matter what type of coating you put on it. Without having a proper substrate, you can't take a rusty piece of metal and paint it and expect that it's not going to rust eventually. You know.
right, definitely, yeah, yeah. It seems like the challenge you all have, and not a lot of people do the coding process. Very few do it extremely at a very high level. You're doing two things, right? You're trying to make it look beautiful, one,
Yeah.
and then you're trying to make it last, and that sometimes is conflicted, isn't it? Sometimes I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
so, like I said, to get those systems down, like I said, and make sure that it really looks nice, that as people always say that, because people who get your products, they're going to look at it very closely at their home. And so it's got to look as well as it can be, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. With our railings, we're on attached to the house. We're on the deck, and people are going to be sitting out there on their deck next to the railings. So it's got to be top notch.
Right. Right. So early on, I know you all went for the PCI certification of 4,000, which I think I actually looked this morning. Only 7 operating facilities in the United States, or actually North America, have that. I know it's. What was the idea about going for that? I know you got the ALMA certification, but what was the idea of going for the 4,000? What was leading you to that?
The PCI 4000 encompasses the whole business.
Mhm.
AMA is related to the coating process. PCI, they come in, they audit our whole process from customer satisfaction, packaging, raw material storage, quarantining any defective raw materials. They audit our pre-treatment processes to verify that we are checking and recording, and they look at the data to make sure we're not running out of parameter. So with the PCI, that was more of a business audit to it. So our customers know that we're consistently monitoring our processes from beginning to end to make sure that the material selection is right, that the packaging is right, and that it goes out the door right, so our customers receive their order right.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. Were you nervous about going through that? I mean, some people, because you get people are going to come in and they're going to look at, like you said, various operations that you've got going on. They're going to help you, but in that initial process, I'm sure they're going to pick you apart a little bit, I think.
They did. Yeah. We do things a little bit different than most people. We check. We have a lot of checks throughout the day, every shift, from pre-treatment to finished product coming off the line, ongoing throughout the day. So it really wasn't very difficult achieving the PCI 4000 because a lot of the steps that they require, we were already doing.
Right. With that, yeah. I'll ask Jesse Boyer there. I'll ask you this question. You get these certifications, but you've got to ingrain that in your team, right? To continually perform at that level. There's no shortcuts, right? I mean, you've got to keep doing that every day. How do you do that? How do you kind of keep your team knowing that the quality has to be, spot on every single time?
Well, every new hire that we hire in, we have a mentor training program, and then we do annual training once a year. The mentor training gets them through till we have time to do the annual training and explain the processes more thoroughly, but everybody is trained the same way, and we only have a few people that do the training. So they're all getting trained the same way.
Right. Yeah. Everybody knows it the exact same with that. Tell me about the size of you got 5 lines, right? You got and how many do you have in Bremen? 3? Is that right? 3 in Bremen? 3. Tell me about those lines, if you could, the 3 lines. But, I guess you've got a conveyors and you have a batch lines, or how do you have those set up there?
We got 2 enclosed track conveyors, and then the third line is we got an I-beam conveyor. Line 1 travels at about 6 foot a minute, which sometimes you got to do a double take to see if it's moving. It's a little slower. Our other 2 lines run at 12 foot a minute. And,
So line 1 was the first line that we put in. We can run a 9 foot tall by 32 foot long profile on that line. Continuous. So that in Bremen, that's the line that we use to coat large products, large custom gates and handrails. The other 2 lines here in Bremen are compact lines. So throughout the dry off and the cure oven, they make multiple passes. So our part windows significantly smaller. We can go 3 foot by 9 foot vertical, 9 foot vertical, 3 foot width. But they run at 12 feet a minute. They're twice the speed as the line that runs the large parts on it, but their part package is just a lot smaller. It's more compact. So we're able to put the lines on a lot smaller footprint by having compact systems. And in Missouri and Pennsylvania, they can coat 32 foot, 9 foot by 32 foot through batch systems.
Okay. Gotcha. You say that, how do you turn a part like that? How do you turn those? I mean, it's got to be, you got to engineer the facility to do that, but is that a difficult thing to do to get those when they're that big?
In Bremen, yes, we have to. The conveyors are, maybe 12 feet apart, going one direction, makes a loop, and comes back the other direction. So when we line it up with the cure oven, we actually have to unhook. We hang that large parts on center,
Mm-hmm.
and then we pivot them to line them up. So we'll unhook the back of the part off the conveyor, and we pivot it around and line it up with the cure oven.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more difficult. And Pennsylvania, the airline's engineered to run that part, so they don't have to rotate it. But their spray booth has two conveyors that run through the center of the spray booth, and for large parts, they have they transfer them to a loop conveyor that runs through the cure oven, so it's straight through the spray booth, out of the spray room, and straight into the cure oven, where we stop the conveyor and let them cure, and then bring them out through the other side to unload them. So straight through. It's a hybrid of a batch system and a
Right.
one
Yeah.
of my brainchilds,
Right. I was gonna say, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it's you learn how to do it and you learn how to get it done. But I know I've been in some facilities like that where they've had to pivot and turn, and it's special engineering to get it to do that. Unless you can just keep building on out and everything, it's never easy. It's kind of like turning a barge around sometimes if you have to put it that way. But bigger pieces with that, bigger pieces, and but yeah, I was gonna say you've got. Is it 12 colors? Is that what you all are applying now? 12? Is that 12. Pretty much? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you manage that of the colors and
through
the changes, I guess, and everything? Yeah.
Through production, we have line coordinators that work between finishing and fabrication. And so the coordinator works with the fab departments on, we manufacture to a ship date, not necessarily by color. So the line coordinators work with the fab departments to try and get them all running the same colors at once. So when they do get to the powder line, that we don't have as many color changes. But there's days when each line may do 15 color changes on a line. Just per shift.
Right. Has that gotten easier? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I know the newer technology. I know I saw some of the products you were. I think it was I saw like a Gemma line that you guys were using, and that technology's really improved over the last 15, 20 years about changing colors. Has that gotten easier for you all over the time with the newer equipment? Or
yeah. Our color changes when we're in dark colors. We're about 7 minutes for a color change and full reclaim ability. So very quick. Going from black to white, probably 35 to 40 minutes for a color change. But still, that's pretty quick. And then we're reclaiming the overspray. So
Right. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's funny in the manufacturing process. I know I've seen this where you have, like I said, have a captive facility like yourselves, where sometimes the finishing can become a bottleneck. Right. It can be what everybody's giving you the evil eye for. Right. What's taking so long? How do you manage that part of keeping it moving? Like you said, either 6 foot line. I'm sure you'd love 12 foot line. You would love to get it as fast as you can, but you just can't do it, right? I mean, sometimes, but
we got a batch booth as well. So we try to run some of our stuff through that small booth, so we don't have to break the line and do a color change.
Gotcha. Keep it going with that.
All 3 plants have batch booths where if they need, say, 2 fence caps to fill an order that needs to go out UPS, we can do that through the batch system. If we're if we're assembling product and we find a defect, we can expedite that through our batch system. So we can push it through, coat it offline, and get it back onto the conveyor, back through the system.
Gotcha.
This is a good spot to talk about the custom color program and how we manage that.
Oh, Yeah, yes, please do. Tell us that. Is that something a
We
customer
can
can
talk
pick?
about that one. It changes.
Well, one of the things we do have what we call our 12 standard colors,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have a color through our tech services department, we can pretty much match that. I don't know
Mm.
how it works on your end. I know how it works here. The one I've heard the most about was a daycare where they wanted all um, bright primary colors on their fence, and it was
Ah,
multiple
gotcha.
colors on their fence. So
Mhm.
how do we manage when we get that? Because this is large enough. How do we manage the custom color?
Right. Yeah. How do you
Basically,
pull that off? Yeah.
if we can match the color, we can do it for you.
Right. Yeah. So the customer would send us a chip
Mm-hmm.
that goes to our supplier to make a custom blend. Then they send a chip to the customer and one to us, and the customer has to sign off that they approve that color sample. Then we can place the PO, we can get it. As far as managing that order through production, it's all on the work order. When we get the work order out on the shop floor, it'll have, we call it a line spec. It tells you that it's a custom color, and typically it's highlighted so it catches somebody's eye when they look at the order. We've got, you know, pink or blue or whatever it may be that they want. So that gets highlighted on the order, and then we can process it through. And the coordinators try to gather that whole order up so we don't have to do multiple color changes to run one order.
Right.
If it's
Right.
one of our standard colors and we don't have the fence post, but we coated the sections, not a big deal. We're going to be back in that color. They go to two different departments for packaging, but for custom color, we don't want to have to do it we want to do as few color changes as possible.
Right. Just because of that. Well, but like I said, it's got to be kind of fun to get kind of a unique fuchsia color or something, a neon or something like that to come in.
Oh, we've had pinks and baby blues and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
that's weird
Interesting.
looking, but it ends up around a playground or a splash pad or something where it matches the rest of the equipment.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to get back to talking about, when you added these lines, I guess, like I said, 20, you're coming on 20 years of having your own line and your experience with that. When you were adding these lines, I know you had one just a couple years ago in Pennsylvania, and then even just recently before that in Missouri. Did it give you better perspective when you're designing these lines? From what your experience is, this is what we're going to need here with this, and or I wish we had it previously. What were some of those things that you?
Yeah, absolutely. We had to learn in the beginning on our own hangers, tooling, controlling spray guns and KVs and microamps and what all that means. So starting up the other facilities, we could teach people what took us years to learn from just research and questions. So, they have a little bit of an advantage when we open up a new plant. They have people that have a lot of experience to help them out. So it just made it a lot easier to start up the other facilities because we mirror what we do in Bremen at the other plants. The hangers, the product, it's all the same. So when we do start up a new facility, we bring people here so they can get familiar with the product, with the racking, with the spray guns and the settings. So we do training at the parent plant in Bremen, and then people will start up their lines at their facilities and run them. And then my job is to go in to the other plants and make sure that everybody else is following procedures and documenting what needs to be documented consistently.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, you've got to be able to, like you said, repeat as much as you possibly, in a good way. Let's just put it that way. Repeat in a good way. I know some people
in a good
say,
way.
Right. Well, it's funny. Thinking back to that, 20 years in the business, what do you think has been the biggest change, improvement, not just in your facility, but just in powder coating in general in the past, 20 some years since you all first started doing this? Some of the whether it was equipment or powders or.
one thing that's really nice is the program ability to control the finishing lines, where you can write recipes for different products that control spray nozzle pressure to oven temperatures and line speeds. So our lines are all controlled through PLCs. We can create recipes for different products, and that makes it really nice. And the other is just the application equipment side of things. We use Gema. We've been using Gema for a long time, but these new booths that they're making are just they're the cat's meow. They do a really good.
Very envious of those. Right.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good high technology that's come out with that. And like you said, is that when you put a line in years ago, you see these improvements, and it really does help things with that. Are you planning on any other changes coming up? Or I mean, I don't know. You've got like I said, the 3 locations, and then but as far as the powder is concerned, are you upgrading any systems? Or are you pretty much
powder? No, we know what works, and we're not going to change that unless regulations require it. Like I said, we've had product out in the field for 20 years, and it's doing great. So if it's not broke, don't try and fix it.
Don't even try. Right, with that. But yeah, like I said, it's got to be a sense of pride that like I said, when something goes through the line and it gets finished, and you really look at it, and it's got that really nice finish on it, and again, aside from that, it's going to stay that way for years. No matter what Mother Nature throws at it, and it seems like it's, like I said, with the sun and all those type of things. But that's got to be a good point of satisfaction for you all when you see it going right out the door and looking good. It's going to probably be that way, for 10 years down the road with that.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not easy. And like I said, hats off to you all for doing that and taking it as seriously as it is. Because like I said, a lot of people, and I've pretty much bought the things that don't last a lot of times. And I have found over years that if you pay a good price for things, it will last with that. But yeah. And,
Well, my first impressions of powder coating were like my kids' little bikes and stuff that we'd buy, and the bike's red, and next year you go to get it out, and now it's pink.
Right. Somebody did that and wasn't paying close attention to it when they
right. Yeah. So the quality of the coating, it's a kid's bike. It's going to be used for a couple years and recycled. Powder. If you don't use the right coating, that's what you get. You go to Walmart and you buy a tricycle for $75 for your kid, and it's going to last a couple years, and then the coating's going to start to look bad on it. It's just not meant to last forever.
Right. And I think, I would say the pressure on you all, but really, I mean, people are buying this stuff for the most part, to put it on their home, like you said, attach it to their home. It's a part of their home, right? And and people with that, it's a great sense of pride they have in doing that. Sounds like you all get that message that this is something that really has to look good and last as much as it possibly can with that.
Yeah. It's on the deck. It's where people are hanging out at there. They want to get home after a day of work and sit out back and have a couple drinks. You want it to look nice.
Mm-hmm. Great.
We wouldn't ship something out the door that we wouldn't buy ourselves. That's the way we look at it.